What it do, boo-boo patooties? How are you? Happy Friday! Yay! We made it! Hi, I hope everybody's had a good week so far. In a way, I feel like mine's just beginning. I had my 2 days off, Wednesday and Thursday, and so Friday is kind of like my Monday right now. But my schedule is going to switch up soon, so I'm excited about that. And then I'll have Thursdays and Fridays off, so I'll be off for Shabbat. Yay! But yeah, so we're here to talk about our cards that we pulled earlier today. It's our weekend reading. If you don't already, you can go follow me at Liz_Taylor_Magick on Instagram. I'll put a link in the description box below. But on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, I post earlier there and I write a blog about our reading. And then later in the evening, we come on here and talk about it in more extended detail. And sometimes the videos go off on different tangents than we do earlier in the day. So it's good to see both. They're both very helpful. All right. So I really like our reading for the weekend. I feel like Spirit is really just taking a second to acknowledge us this week. I mean, earlier in the week, I think Spirit was like, God, I know it's been rough. Like, just, we see you out there, just breathing and carrying on. You're doing so good. And so now I think Spirit is acknowledging, like, that Spirit has heard our prayer. I think that Spirit is acknowledging sort of the longing and desire of our heart and where our soul is calling us, and just letting us know that our prayers aren't going unheard or unanswered. And I think that they're being acknowledged. So kind of a sigh of relief there. But from the Vintage Wisdom Oracle, we've got kindred spirits, followed by strength, followed by union. And then under kindred spirits, we got 10 of Pentacles. I love this deck of cards. Like, I love the characters. Like, I love this dude. He's so dapper. Underneath strength, we got King of Pentacles. And underneath union, we got 9 of Wands, which I love this depiction of 9 of Wands. So let's talk more. Let's talk more about it. All right, so I feel that I think we need to talk about the pairs together. So with kindred spirits anchored by 10 of Pentacles, I kind of saw this whole layout as like this whole big picture, this whole big story. And so right here, these two cards, what I was seeing is that this man here, I feel like he represents sort of an old soul, or how our soul feels at this point in the journey. Like it's seen some years, like it's gone some miles, right? Like I feel like this man here, he's mature, he's still like youthful, but it's like he's still dreaming about this life that he hasn't quite found yet, that he hasn't quite connected with or created or you know, stumbled upon, or you know, had aligned, you know, all of the above. It's like you create it, but then I don't know, I mean, we're at the mercy of the fates and other people's decisions, and you know, so we do what we can, you know, but it's like this is representative of a person who's like maybe, you know whose story turns out exactly like they planned, you know. But I think that this person is sitting here going like, yeah, there's still a life that I feel is waiting for me that I haven't quite known yet. And there's still something more. There's still something more that I'm being called to that I haven't experienced yet. And it's to the degree where you feel like it's so big that you don't even feel like your life's properly started yet. And so this interchange the gender, it doesn't matter, but this character, this person here who's dreaming about a future that is a life that reflects this unique person's individual dreams and talents and passions, surrounded by kindred spirits who get that person, who bring their own unique multifacets to the situation, who really add to the variety of this person's life. He's dreaming about building, a legacy side by side with someone who's equally yoked, who wants to create and build together. So, yeah, I mean, you may be feeling like there's still this thing in your heart that you're being called to. Like, you want to align with your soul's purpose. You want your career to reflect that more. Maybe you haven't found your soulmate yet. Maybe you feel like you are with your soulmate, but like your relationship has never been as satisfying as you think that it could be. In Kabbalah, we learned that like a soulmate relationship isn't necessarily waiting for like a specific person to come along that's your soulmate. It's like a level of relationship that you're able to be with. And like basically in our lower levels of consciousness, we have like practice mates. And then we work our way up after, dating and, doing that casually. And we start learning more about relationship. The dating, kind of casually is called first mates. And then, when you start dating to learn how to have a relationship, that's called practice mates. But then once you know how to have relationship and then you start dating people and having relationships where you're really working out like life's karma together and like big, like, you're working through big stuff together, those are called tikkun mates. Tikkun is a word in Hebrew that represents our soul correction in this life. It's kind of like karma. But the tikkun is like the map of your soul and all of your talents and all the things that you're meant to do and all the weaknesses that you have as well. It's lightning outside. So tikkun mates are those karmic relationships where you still have a lot of lessons to work out together in order to prepare yourself for a soulmate level relationship. And so in Kabbalah, the soulmate level relationship represents a relationship where both individuals know how to have a healthy relationship. They're self-aware, they're awakened, they are working on themselves, they're growing spiritually, and they are in it to win it together. And they are both on a trajectory of growth and expansion. And though the two people are interdependent, so they're not dependent on one another and they're not overly independent where they're avoidant. They're like a really good pairing. And so it's a very healthy relationship where two people are like, they've gone as far as they can on their own in their growth. And now they're being made even like they're growing even more because they're being paired up with another person, or like they're being enhanced by someone else in their life without depending on that person to make their life better. Does that make sense? So you can be with a person who very well can be your soulmate for the rest of your life, and maybe you're not in a very fulfilling relationship right now. But if the two of you start doing your own personal work and the work on yourself and your soul growth, then you begin up-leveling together. And even sometimes if you do your soul work and your partner's not into it, if that partner is supposed to be with you and you have like a worthwhile relationship, then that partner can spontaneously up level because of the work that you've been doing too. So, you know, every situation's different. But all that to say is that kind of more just explaining like realistically what it is to have a soulmate relationship and the fulfillment of a partnership. I mean, if you're looking for the partnership to fulfill you, then it's probably not going to be very fulfilling because you're going to feel very neurotic all the time. So what we're trying to learn how to do is learn how to be able to cultivate a sense of fulfillment within ourselves so that we're not reaching for things and people and experiences and titles and outer material world things to bring us fulfillment. What's really fulfilling behind anything is that jolt of high of that satisfaction we get, right? And no matter what that satisfaction is dressed up as, it's always just source light, a spark of creator light, right? And so when we realize that like we can do things to make ourselves feel pretty fulfilled with or without the outer circumstances, then we're not beholding to anything. Nothing has control over us, and therefore nothing is making us suffer because we're not afraid and like suffering from fear, lack, or doubt of losing it or not getting it. And we can actually be in a state of fulfillment because we're relaxed and we're at peace and we are in the state of being and of having, right? So we learn to be in a state of fulfillment regardless of the circumstance, right? And then the things that we have can be fulfilling. But if we don't know how to cultivate our own sense of fulfillment, all of our dreams can come true and we'll still feel the sense of lack and like not fulfillment, like we feel unfulfilled because we thought like it was going to be the fame and the money and everybody being adoring us. It was gonna make us feel fulfilled, and it's just like after the initial high passed, I felt emptier because of it, kind of thing. That's because you're looking for fulfillment in the wrong place, right? It's usually the simple things in life that can bring you the most sustainable joy. And then you can let the things that are those, you know, unusual, crazy things, you know, bring you like little boosts or whatever. But really it's about, you know, finding sustainable fulfillment within yourself and within your connection to source. So yes. So Source has heard our call, and there is a life and a partner and friends and coworkers and all of that are waiting for you that's you know, resonant with you. Many times, all it takes is an adjustment of how we're seeing what's already around us and what we're missing out on. But just feel at ease that the order has been put out to the universe. That soul calling, that like desire that's like in your heart of hearts, it wouldn't be there if it weren't supposed to be yours. If it's not like this passing whim and you know the difference. Like this is something that's like deep inside of you. It wouldn't be there if it wasn't already set aside for you, and you wouldn't resonate with it if it wasn't true for you. So be in a state of just knowing that on an energetic level, it's a done deal. What's yours is yours. It will not pass you by. It's just in the vortex. It's just in holding. I like to think of it as like all of your dreams are like right off stage. They're in holding. They're just waiting for their cue, right? Props teams got it. Like the background, scenery, wardrobe, extras, stand-ins, co-stars. They're all standing by, ready to walk in. They're just waiting for the cue. So 10 of Pentacles talks about that long-term legacy, building things with lasting value that are true to your values. Wealth that begets wealth kind of thing. Seeds well planted that grow and become more and more and more over time. Growing a family, growing, a business that can live on after you, putting new ideas out in the world. But this is definitely talking about building wealth, committing to things long term, and building a legacy in a future. So next to this was Strength and King of Pentacles. And so I think that in this moment, it's just like, be strong, and as you wait for this all to line up, the right people, the right resources, people who can step up and level up with you are going to be showing up. The things that you need, like you've been so strong to get your intrinsic world dialed in. And so it's only a matter of time before your outer world is going to start reflecting this too. I think that we're every bit as much becoming a King of Pentacles as we are calling in a King of Pentacles. But I really like the way that this guy here, he's just like, this King of Pentacles, it's like he's had to like climb up some things, and like he's standing on points. Like I feel like this is kind of a challenging situation, but he's got it pulled off. Like it's easy for him. So I feel like, we're getting better at doing things that we would have considered to be very challenging, maybe put us in very precarious positions. We're being able to handle more and take on more and be very grounded and stable and secure. And we've been learning how to practice that certainty in the Creator that keeps us grounded and stable and secure. And that certainty is not that we know for sure what's going to happen. We never know for sure what's going to happen. But the certainty comes in as saying, hey, I don't care what the circumstances are in front of me. I know that if I stay calm and I stay confident that Creator can work it out in my favor, then more than likely it will be worked out in my favor. It's like, that's the magic sauce. It's like Creator is in every single thing around me, in me, inside of me, and that I am within. In these cards, in this phone that I'm recording on, in my shirt, in this house, in the storm that's happening outside right now. Creator is in everything. And so the moment that I acknowledge that and put my attention on that and my consciousness in that, it's like I can activate the Creator power within all things. And then what was moments ago a plot and a scheme being used by my opponent to destroy me will suddenly can suddenly be turned around, and my enemy has now become my pawn, and their scheme has become foiled and has now become turned around in such a way that will exalt me and give me favor, and maybe a bonus. You never know, but you just have to believe that your situation can turn around in an instant, right? And just don't have any resistance to it. So I think just be strong and have faith that the right things are coming, and don't settle for less in the meantime. Don't get itchy to fill a void, or don't ruin your appetite. Don't quickly take a job that you regret taking because you just weren't confident enough to hold out for another option, right? Because you were scared that was the only thing that you would have. Don't rush into a relationship because you're lonely and you want to have a companion or a partner. There is nothing worse than being trapped in a relationship with a bad partner. and feeling that intense heaviness of, do I leave? Should I stay? Do we work this out? Loving someone that is causing you a lot of drama and toxic stuff that you're trying to leave. It's not easy to leave someone, even if they are a difficult partner. If you love them, if you're invested, so it's better to take your time, get to know people, be strong. Do not just fill a void with any person. They could make your life miserable. They could suck you of so much energy, right? Don't be quick to go buy a car. Test drive it, look into it. Don't be quick to buy a house. Be strong. Wait for the house that you want. There are I have shopped for houses so many times in my life, and oh my God, I am so glad that I have so much practice at looking for houses. And then plus on top of that, worked on so many of these home shows and home improvement shows that I know how to go in and look for things, think about everything. Nothing will go under my radar. Oh my God, it felt like the lightning was just about to come in through the window. Oh my God, I hope it doesn't. Okay, so be strong. Believe and keep your focus and your intention on what it is exactly that you want to call in, and don't forget what that is. Don't forget and don't settle for less. And then when that does come in, stay strong. Keep your boundaries, keep your wits about you, and use your discernment and wisdom. Take your time. All right, and then union was over 9 of Wands. And so I feel like we can come into union with this life that we're dreaming of, with that partner that we're dreaming of, or the partner that we already have. Our relationship can blossom or go to the next level when we are able to finally get over this big last pattern. The 9 of Wands is about pushing past that exhaustion, that spiritual exhaustion, to come to the end of a difficult cycle and finally break a pattern, a long-held pattern in your life. And so whatever that pattern is, I think it's directly connected to whatever is blocking you from receiving all this next level stuff. The relationship, or the meeting the new partner, getting your work environment worked out, or going to the next level in your career, or figuring out how to heal that thing with that situation in your life, right? Finally getting over it. It's we're looking for this little key that's going to unlock the door, that's going to lead us through to so many things being resolved. And it's all tied up in this one big pattern. This is probably the major theme of your life. This is probably the major core pattern that's held you back in both love and money, because those two things are connected. And I think so many of our problems, stem from love and security, right? It's security is the way that you make your money, the way that you're able to, it's your cash flow, how you can handle your money, the environment and the security that you can build around you. How good are you at getting insurance and things like that, right? And then your love life. It's not just your romance life. This has to do with your friendships and your familial relationships too. So, that's most of your life right there. Everything else is just mundane, right? So this pattern, I feel that because of the way the illustrations are, both of these feminines, it's all of these cards are feminine characters. And then there's these two masculine characters here. And all of these characters, like these two are kindreds. They're looking at each other. They're open and vulnerable, and they're sharing connection and relationship, right? These characters are all solitary. Strength is sort of facing the masculines, but she's slightly looking away, but the body is facing. She's like open to them. But she's, you know, her countenance is like turned or whatever. Union is the same. It's like, well, sorry. Everything looks like a mirror to me because of the way that the monitor is, but the picture will be at the end of the video so you can see it all laid out and you can pause it and look how it is. And like, so Union, she's like turned towards these characters as well. These characters representing like one's life coming together here. A person who's mastered their life. This person has attained the dream, right? This Ten of Pentacles is like the vision formed fully in the mind, and the King of Pentacles has like created all of this. This is like the King of Pentacles right before the King of Pentacles becomes the king, essentially. So Union, right, is facing these, opened to the possibilities. Strength, same. The body is, or the face is facing, right? Even though the body's a little twisted. But with the Nine of Wands, it's like in the picture, you'll notice that she is turned away. And I think that what I'm seeing is that she's clinging to this rose, and she's got these thorns, and then she's got these centipedes like crawling all over her. And so I feel like this is fears bugging her, like it's got her skin's crawling, like these things are bugging her. It's got her crawling up the walls inside, right? All of these fears and insecurities and worries that it's all going to be the same as it always was here. She's like gripping the thorns on this rose. And it's like life is a rose. It comes with blossoms and it comes with thorns. It's funny, I was really getting into this card this morning as I was reading this, doing our reading. And I was just looking at her in the thicket of the forest. And this past couple of weeks, or, you know, a few weeks, I guess, like back in my forest, it gets really muddy in the winter. And I like walking back there as often as I can, even in poor conditions. Because walking in the forest to me is a practice. And it's many times during the most uncomfortable seasons that it teaches me the most. Over the past couple of weeks, I feel like I've been working with the thorn bushes a lot back there. Because of the mud, like back at my entrance, I don't have to drive to a park or anything. I can just walk to the end of my street or just like head out straight into my backyard. But there's like a trail opening at the end of my street. And so in my neck of the woods, it gets really boggy. And so you have to really walk in the edge of the thicket, like where the trail hasn't been cleared out. And so all of that on my side is these like thick thorn bushes. And so there's like spots where you can find like paths in between the bushes to walk around the mud. But many times you just kind of have to like work with the bushes themselves. And so it's funny because the bushes have sort of leaned down and become something that people have been sort of like walking on and like grabbing hold of. And it's almost like the bushes themselves are like helping people along the path, like holding their hand and laying down so they can have something to step on. And it's funny because you kind of have to build an intelligence around these thorns in order not to get cut. And I laugh because sometimes the forest demands blood and sometimes it doesn't. And I have like on my arms and legs, I have like all kinds of cuts right now because of the thorns. In fact, one day I was walking back and it wasn't in a particularly muddy part of the trail, thank goodness, but I got tripped by a thorn vine that had like crossed the trail, and I ate shit so hard that I was like jolted. I had to stop and make sure that I hadn't broken anything or like knocked anything out of socket. I was like in shock. But yeah, so the thorns are pretty crazy. But that's kind of reminds me of life too. It's like, you know, we learn how to navigate life so many times from the thorns that we end up pricking ourselves on. And so we learn how to handle ourselves through life very delicately around prickly situations, you know? We learn how to avoid danger. We learn what's a defense mechanism around us, you know, what might prick, you know, or what's benign, right? Life is always going to come with the beautiful half and the painful half. In the governing force of reality called Netzach, it's the Sphirot in the Godhead of the Tree of Life, it governs both pleasure and pain. When we, in the juxtaposition between the two and the preoccupation between the two, and they're always interconnected. In the Celtic cross and the tarot spread that I do a lot, the 9th question represents both fears and wishes. Those are kind of inextricably linked, same as pleasure and pain. It's like our hopes and fears are like, you know, we fear we won't get what we hope, and we hope we don't, you know, we don't get what we fear, you know. So yeah, I think that this is this moment where we have to be discerning and wise from the messages that and the lessons that we carry with us from the past without getting bogged down in the old stories of the pain, right? Don't listen to the mean things that maybe your ex said to you, right? They were trying to hurt you because they were angry, right? So take that with a grain of salt and don't linger in that, but try to remember like the lessons that you learned from that relationship, the big ones, right? The big messages, without getting caught in the drama of the hurtful stories again. Because we have to leave those echoes behind. Those are the things that do damage to our self-esteem and to our sense of spirit, you know? And we don't want those things to damage us. We want to be open to change for good and people's input, but when people are putting us down and criticizing us, that's completely different. So yeah, I think that we have to be courageous and know that it doesn't have to be like it was before. But if it is, then you take those signs and you remove yourself from the situation. You make a change. You don't continue in and continue on, right? You have to learn to trust yourself by doing what you need to do to take care of yourself, right? And to make sure that you're in good situations. So yeah, it's like, be strong. We can, you know, the union of us and our dreams is going to happen when we can overcome the fear of the past, that everything will be like it always was. And when we can overcome this big pattern, right, that we are sort of being set up to like see this lesson again play out, or it has been playing out for a long time. And it's like we can have a chance to do this differently this time. But I have a feeling that we're not going to get the thing that we want until we do the thing that's been holding us back, or we like overcome the thing that's been holding us back, if that makes sense. Like, I think that like we have to like solve this pattern right here, and like the very action that we take, or that we're like avoiding taking, is the thing that's like holding up the union of us and our wishes and dreams. So I hope we figure out what this is. What's your pattern? What are you trying to break? What are you trying to transcend? What are you trying to heal from? What are you trying to overcome? When we can push through that, I think that we will be receiving a lot of blessing and excitement, and we'll be connecting with the dream that we have for ourselves, and we'll be King of Pentacles-ing it up around. I'm nonverbal, you guys. I can't even talk anymore. But yeah, we'll be King of Pentacles. I was trying to make a verb out of that. I can't go on living. I can't go on in this world. It's just too much. Oh, okay. Pretty soon we will be the King of Pentacles. And our life will be reflective of that. Oh, I'm tired. Starving. Ciao.